Millet.
Here.
Victoria Newport. Here. Ellerton Hernandez. Here. Rick Smith.
Here.
Howard Sullivan.
Here.
Everybody can rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight we start with public participation and recognition. This is acceptance of gifts and donations. This is an action item that the Board of Education accept with gratitude the donation of $9,308.37 in grants from the DeKalb Education Foundation. Do we have a motion? Okay. Any discussion?
It's a very generous amount. Thank you.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht.
Yes.
Peter Millet.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Ellerton Hernandez.
Yes.
Rick Smith.
Yes.
Howard Sullivan.
Yes.
And thank you to the DEF for their very generous donation to the school district. Very much appreciated. Next, we have public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals is not in order. Okay, thank you. And next, we have board committee reports and correspondence.
I have several. So I attended via phone the recruitment committee, which was held on April 2nd. That's a committee that's a few people have: Billy, Marie, Amy Crook, Manal, Christy, Sarah, Jenny, and I think I'm forgetting one more person and myself. And this committee is with the intent, obviously, of recruitment and looking at creative ways. There's just several things they're looking at. They're trying to get pretty crafty, trying to look at ways to recruit people to fill those positions that aren't technically filled. I mean, there are some positions that they continue to look at ways to attract people and get them here, especially for those bilingual positions. One of the things that they're looking at is having a partnership and trying to find people in Puerto Rico and Spain. Spain has been a partnership that they have had for ongoing. I mean, it's been for years. I think it's 5 years? 5 years that they've used different people from Spain. They've been successful. I guess the issue is retaining and keeping them here. So the committee now feels that Puerto Rico is a good option, and they're looking at options to try to do that and trying to see if they can get people, come here and work for us. So that's, there were other things discussed, but that's just one of the most important things that I would have to say. The second committee, FFAC, on Wednesday the 10th. One of the biggest things that was discussed is really just the fund balance. I think that's what we spent a majority here on there. The rest of the things we're going to see as a board. But one of the things that people are discussing at FFAC is really trying to move the fund balance from 15 to 25% to 20 to 30%. That's obviously, coming down the pipeline. It's a conversation they're having. And it's looking like they're feeling comfortable in that role, but there's still discussion. So that's obviously one of the most important things. Another thing, and I think this is pretty good, the legislative updates. I think that's good to look at as a district, to know that really it's not going to, any of the changes that are happening at the state level aren't really going to affect us, just because this district has been very proactive about the pay and some of the things that they're looking at in terms of statewide. So we're not going to be affected in any way, or in a significant way, really, because those are things that we're already proactive about. Curriculum Council, I attended on the 11th, and I think everything else we're going to look at. Right now, the only thing new, I guess, that we as a board maybe don't really get to see is the proposal that Christy Meyer brought in for intensive math materials. And she just had the Curriculum Council just take a look at it and see if that's something that they would be in favor of. And honestly, I looked at the stuff myself, and it really does look like a very good curriculum. So it's something that's coming down the pipeline, hopefully. Other than that, I think you know, as a board, we pretty much know all the other stuff.
Thanks, Val. And we'll be talking further about the FFAC tonight.
Yeah, the bond restructuring.
Yep. Anybody else have any? Thanks. Okay, next we have possible expulsion of student 041619A. This is an action item. If the Board of Education approve the expulsion of student number 041619A for the remainder of the 2018-2019 school year and the 2019-2020 school year. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Tim Colburn,
Yes.
Gary Malek,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez,
Yes.
Craig Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Next, we have possible expulsion of student number 041619B. This is an action item that the Board of Education approve the expulsion of student number 041619B for the remainder of the 2018-2019 school year and the 2019-2020 school year. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Roll call?
Gary Malek,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez,
Yes.
Craig Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
No.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Palmer.
Yes.
Next, we have the possible expulsion of student number 041619C. This is an action item that the Board of Education approve the expulsion of student number 041619C for the remainder of the 2018-2019 school year and the 2019-2020 school year. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Valerie Pena Hernandez,
Yes.
Craig Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Palmer,
Yes.
Gary Malek,
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes. Okay, next we have presentations. This is an action information presentation that the Board of Education approved the District 428 Consolidated District Plan for fiscal year 2020.
So in the past, we have come to you to have you approve just the Title I plan so that we can submit it to the state board and then they will release the application. This year, the state board notified us that they are going to do things a little bit differently and that all of the title grants that we receive, the title federal grants that we receive, we will write a plan for all of them collectively together. And so we want to spend just a little bit of time tonight just refreshing your memory as to what each of these plans in terms of the federal, what they federally fund and what their purpose is for District 428. So Tim, do you want to start with Title I?
Yes. Title I, we've really expanded since I've come into this role, so we kind of covered quite a bit. We have goals for that tie into ESSA for our districts, which are math literacy, social emotional learning and attendance, and parent engagement. So that's how we spend the dollars, always going back to those goals. In Title I, which often I come to present, you probably know most of what I spend on, but we fund quite a few staff. That's reading specialists, not their full salary, but part of their salary. And our literacy assistants, we have ESL, we have bilingual interventionists. It's a big part of that is spent on materials, technology for K2, software, any materials for reading, science. And then we also fund the data team process that happens at all the schools 4 times a year for our teachers to collaborate about how our students are doing and what else we could be doing. We fund a lot of professional development and professional learning. Collaboration time, our instructional coaches will meet with each grade level team twice a year after their data team while we have subs in the building so that they can talk about how they're going to implement the new things that they decided to do. And then we have a portion of it that is for parent involvement, that the buildings all are given, and then also there's a section for private schools that we give to private schools.
For the first time for the district, Title I has been available to both middle schools school-wide. That's first time this year. Prior to that, we were targeted. We use Title I at both middle schools in a very limited way, strictly with a focus on math and math support for our struggling students. The way that looks at both middle schools is with Title I funds, we were able to, we moved 2 math teachers within district to become a math interventionist, 1 at each school. The model that we implemented this year to utilize those 2 math interventionists proved to be very successful. It was a combination of a resource assisted studies that was very collaborative with the math teachers. 1 period a day, in addition to the math interventionists pushing into classrooms. Remember, math is a double block, and really targeting classrooms that had higher numbers of struggling students. And this was all driven by MAP data during data teams. The Title I funds, in addition to paying the salaries of our 2 math interventionists, also help to cover the cost of software that enhance both the work of the math interventionists, but also our math teachers to better diversify to the needs of our students. And then the third piece of the Title I funds, which is per Title I, provided the finances to support parent involvement nights at both middle schools. This was a new experience, and I would say for both middle school principals, who I'm looking at going way back, we would agree that they were very successful nights, and they're already making plans for next year with a focus on STEM.
So the Title I Part A School Improvement Plan 1003A, that is strictly for schools that have received designations of either Tier 3 or Tier 4. We came to you in February with the work plans that those buildings had written. So this is directly tied to ESSA. This is also directly tied to Illinois Empower, our learning partners that we have that are working with those schools. So the funds in that particular Title I grant can only be used for schools that have either a Tier 3 or a Tier 4 designation. Title II Part A, that is all about professional development. So we use that to provide professional development for our teachers. And again, it's not just our teachers. Our principals, our school leaders, our instructional assistants, they are all included in terms of being able to provide professional development. We also pay for subs when teachers go somewhere, be it a conference, professional learning, or if they are doing curriculum work during the day. That's what Title II is meant to fund, but it's always professional development.
All right, Title III is an additional layer. So our English learners first qualify for our district funds, then Title I, and then anything above and beyond that other students don't receive comes out of Title III. So the first one is, it used to be called LIPLEP, now it's LIDP. I'm not sure if that's probably a little easier to remember. That pays for professional development. We get about $100 per student. So this year we received a little over $90,000. It pays for professional development, and it is specifically designed to improve educational programs for English learners. It also pays for supplemental materials above and beyond what Title I pays for. Then we have the Immigrant Education Program. That is for students who are not born in the United States and who have been in the U.S. school system for fewer than 3 years. It's also for students who move for migratory work. They're included in that. And we did not get funding this year. You have to have a 17% increase in your population over time. So within a 2-year period, and then they average it out. So although we have, I want to say 117 right now, we didn't get additional funding this year because it's the same, a similar number to last year.
To speak to Title IV, and Title IV is probably the newest grant to our menu of federal grants. And I want to start by first saying a huge thank you to our mayor, because without his help, as Mary Ann and I navigated the waters of accessing these funds, I just want to publicly thank you, our mayor, because he really helped us tremendously. So Title IV, which is a part of this over umbrella, is specifically for bringing about more well-rounded education to schools that need it. It was actually put in place during the Obama administration. As a district, we really didn't tap into it until we started to consider it last spring. And it has, think of it has 3 pathways. And again, this is about enrichment and expanding well-rounded education. So the 1 pathway is providing a well-rounded education. Pathway 2 is about safe and healthy schools, and pathway 3 is technology. The technology piece, by the grants direction, you can only spend 15% of the total amount that's been allotted to your district. It's probably the most restrictive piece, but what we did with that technology piece, and actually you helped to make that happen when you approved the new video production course at the high school, the way we're going to be able to purchase the necessary video equipment for that course is through Title IV. Also, as we move forward, as we look to expand that course, also look to expand the offerings in computer science that you've heard from Ben described to you. We're going to be looking at Title IV to kind of expand those offerings. So that's the 1 pathway. When we look at safe and healthy schools and well-rounded education, we made the decision to take those funds and target the high school, because high school does not benefit at all from Title I. Title I, as you just heard described, is all elementary and then a little bit at middle school. But as far as the grant funding goes, not much is being directed other than Title II and some from Title III. Nothing's been really directed at the high school. So under that pathway, Safe and Healthy Schools, we were able to use that grant money to send counselors and one of the social workers to a conference last fall called Why Try, and they're exploring to use that as a possible Tier 1, Tier 2 intervention in social emotional. We also, excuse me, looking to utilize that pathway to help with more restorative practices, both at the middle school and at the high school. Probably the biggest portion, though, for whether we're using Title IV is for that well-rounded education. And specifically, we're using it to, 1, help fund the Naviance platform that's being rolled out at the high school. Sean and Jane spent a lot of time presenting that to you last year. It's somewhat expensive, so we're utilizing some of that Title IV because part of well-rounded education has to do with college and career readiness. We're also using that pathway to help pay for our partnership with Equal Opportunity Schools. Again, a proposal we brought before you last summer. It's a partnership that's helping us support more students, particularly of poverty and color, access to AP courses. And we're using Title IV to help better equip and train our AP teachers. And then the final piece, and we had a little bit of extra Title IV money this year, and so we're beginning to put in place an instrument rotation program for the band program at the high school. They have not had the funds to be able to, in a regular way, replace worn out instruments. And so working with Steve Lundeen, we've come up with a timeline, depending on how much money we get each year from Title IV, that it will allow Steve to replace instruments that are used by all students, but particularly students who can't afford to go out and purchase their own instruments. So that's Title IV.
And IDEA, both the Part B flow-through and Part B preschool, is federally funded grant that helps to support our specialized services, materials, and professional development to serve our students with individual education plans. And for the most part, 75% of our IDEA funds fund our services from Northwestern Illinois Association, or NIA, and those help, they bring our services of occupational therapy, physical therapy, our autism consultation, as well as our vision services and our hearing services. They are a wonderful cooperative that has served our district for now, I think, the last 3 years. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, 3 to 4 years. So that's about 75% of our overall grant. The rest of the grant goes, again, for specialized services, materials, and professional development to serve our students who have specialized needs.
So the consolidated district plan, its true intent, and this is one of the things that makes this a really good thing, is to look at a child holistically rather than looking at a child who, for example, is an immigrant to this country, may also have an IEP, may also qualify for some other services. Prior to this, we looked at that child in each of those categories separately. Now we can look at the whole child, and that's what makes this a really great thing that ISBE is doing. And the other thing that it is also doing is that collaboration piece. We have always talked amongst us in terms of the various roles we play in terms of the funding and what the possibilities are. But this allows us to put together a collaborative plan to be able to submit to ISBE and not say that this is due to IDEA, this is due to the immigrant education or Title I or Title IV. We're writing it as if we are all one. So what's contained within the consolidated district plan? We take a look at the needs assessments we have done, for example, 5 essentials, the Illinois Assessment for Readiness, the Illinois Science Assessment, the MAP testing that we do locally. So we look at all of the needs assessments that we give. We look at the various ways that we bring all of our stakeholders in, our parents, our various roles that are within the district, be it a social worker, a psych, a special ed teacher, just the various roles. We also have to reach out to our non-public schools. We have students living in DeKalb, Portland, or Malta who would go here, but they've chosen to go somewhere else. We need to provide some funding for that, and so we have those conversations. In fact, Kim had a conversation today. We look at how we can support, again, not just the child's academic needs, but their linguistic needs as well. How do we support professional development, and then how do we bring parents in as well? So those are all the different components of this consolidated plan, again, through the lens of Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV. Okay, what this is not the application. This is just the plan in terms of how we would like to spend the money that we will be allocated. This then needs to be approved by you. We submit it, and then the application will be released to us. This isn't a guarantee that we're going to get money. We have to do periodic reports. There's one coming up at the end of the month. That's not what this is either. It's not a document that we use to keep track of our funds, nor is it a required report that we have to fulfill. Again, this is a plan that we need to submit so that the application will be released. And again, in the past, we've come to you with our Title I plan. This is a consolidated plan of all the title grants that we receive from the federal government. Any questions?
Oh, yeah, so maybe you said I missed it. When will we know if we get the money?
Well, good question.
Okay.
As of a couple of weeks ago, they were still hiring people to read this.
Yeah.
So I can't say with certainty when we'll know. I would say probably in an ideal world, we would know late May, early June.
Yeah.
So.
Hopefully before we have to pass the budget.
Right.
This is a little thing, but I didn't see within the description of the titles where parents figure in. But you have parents on there.
Yes.
So I'd like you some clarification on the parents.
Sure. So Vicki spoke to it. We do it at elementary too, but there is always one in the fall, one in the spring, family involvement nights, family engagement night, a family literacy night, where we invite parents in. There is typically food involved, activities with their children, talking with their teachers, that kind of thing. So that's how we bring parents in. We have parents serving on committees within the building so that their voices can be heard. They are surveyed as well. So that's how we are reaching out to our parents in that involvement piece.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I had a question about, I think it's Title IV, and you go through the narrative and they ask the question, you give them an answer. And one of the questions says, describe how the district will identify and serve gifted and talented students by using objective criteria. It says DeKalb CUSD 428 does not have a gifted and talented program. Okay, why not? And what would it be if we had one? Because I do remember that we have some dual credit program or classes, right? We have AP courses. We also have some dual credit courses over the summer. So what would a talented and gifted program look like, and why don't we have it? And, you know, could Title IV be applied to it, and why isn't it?
So we used to have
Okay.
gifted and talented, but due to funding, it's dissolved.
And Title IV, to use it to start up a program like that would be supplanting the grant. Title IV, like really all of our grants, is to support and extend programs that have been established and paid for by the district. So we can't use Title IV funds to start up, say, to pay for staff to start a gifted program. What a beautiful world that would be, but we can't.
But if you had a program, you could use it.
Use it to help support it.
And we did apparently, once had a program, but we stopped.
So instead, what we are doing with Title IV, we are supporting the AP program with additional professional development. Also looking at in the future, helping to, there is actually a scholarship fund that's pretty well funded at the high school. It has been funded for quite a while to help pay for taking the AP test. And it hasn't really been touched for very long. So we're looking at making that more sustainable and making that much more available. I'm looking to James.
Yeah, correct. So what we're looking to doing is funding any student that wants to take the AP test to have the ability to take that. Of course, if you score a 3 or higher, it does translate to potential college credit, depending on the university that you go to.
And we would pay for that, or how is that supported?
Well, it's supported currently. We do have, it was through a gift to the district. We do have some funds available.
Private donation.
Yes.
So it's yeah.
You know, the reason I'm asking this is I'm very much interested in seeing the broad tax base in this district, in this area. And in order to accomplish that, one of the things we need to do, I believe, is entertain parents that are moving here usually from the east, that are wealthy. By comparison to our 70% free reduced lunch program folks. And if we had a gifted and talented program, you know, in addition to what we do have, you know, the advanced placement, having dual credit and so on, if we had a program like that again, then perhaps that would be an incentive that would then give people some idea about, well, maybe I'll move there. So it's just something I want to throw out there because I think we can't ignore it. You know,
Right.
This is one grant, or rather one application for all these grants, but we're missing that, and we're specifically not paying attention to it. It's there, it's in the narrative. They're asking us about it, but we're saying, now we couldn't do that a while back, so we're going to ignore it. I think that's the wrong thing to ignore.
If we have the program in place.
Then it would be able
Then
to,
we would.
I
Then we
understand
could.
that, right.
So it's really going back to, as part of the district's vision moving forward and establishing that program, knowing that we would have, actually, I could see Title II coming into play with that, Title III and Title IV. But that's really putting the cart before the horse, because the biggest stipulation with all these grants is you can't supplant, you can support.
So we'd have to create, then
Recreate,
look for support, recreate,
yeah.
and then look for support.
Right. And, you know, one of the words in the narrative is well-rounded, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you ask me if you could do this, we would be more well-rounded. I don't see anything wrong with what we've got here,
Right.
but if we could add to it, I think we'd be more well-rounded, and I think we've got a better place for the future in broadening our tax base, you know, which should be better for everybody.
Carrie, I need any clarification because I'm a little confused about something you said.
Okay.
So you just asked and you just stated, right? You asked a question about the gifted program, but then you stated, maybe you asked another question, so this is where I need clarification. The gifted program, are you assuming that it would only be for the wealthy, or are you?
Oh, no,
assuming-
absolutely not.
Because you're saying we should
Oh, no.
attract wealthy.
No,
So
I mean,
please
students
provide
from all
that
economic
clarification.
spectrum some of them would fit into that thing. No, it's not a, it's not the definition by where they come from. Because, in fact, one of our programs, which one is it? We encourage, I don't remember the name, it's been a while.
I just
Anyway,
wanted clarification.
no, no, absolutely, wherever they come from, whether they're from a disadvantaged economic family or whether they're from a very wealthy family, doesn't matter to me. What matters is that the district can offer something as an incentive for those folks that aren't yet in the district. So they know we have it, whatever their economic situation is, they may well want to come here for that reason.
Thank you. So, any other questions? All right.
We need a motion to discuss this.
All right, so we need a motion that the Board of Education approve the District 428
Thank you, ladies.
Consolidated District Plan for fiscal year 20. Do we have a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Rick Fit,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Altman, Ray Millet,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Valerie Finger Hernandez.
Yes. Next, we have the non-business consent agenda. This is an action item that the Board of Education approve the non-business consent agenda items A through I. Do we have a motion? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Altman,
Yes.
Ray Millet,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Valerie Finger Hernandez,
Yes.
Rick Smith.
Yes.
Okay, next is the business consent agenda. This is an action item that the Board of Education approve the business consent agenda items A through D. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Altman,
Yes.
Ray Millet,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Valerie Finger Hernandez.
Yes.
Rick Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon.
Yes.
Next is business and finance, and this is an action item, bond restructuring, that the Board of Education approve FFAC's recommendation to choose bond restructuring option number 1, 4A, utilize 13 million TIF surplus in operating funds to pay off bonds in 2019 and 2020. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I do. I think as a board, I'm all for paying down the bond. That's something that I find to be very important. However, I think with all the issues that we have and looking ahead and looking at the different things that our buildings are experiencing, I'm not very comfortable with the amount set aside to do that. And I think it's important that as a board, we consider that, and I'm sure that each of you have considered it. I'm just saying, I'm all for paying down the bond, but I'm not necessarily comfortable with the number that we have allocated. And that's just how I feel.
Now, is your
Yes,
discomfort with the overall large size of the payment of the bonds of the refunds?
yeah, and then looking at it, and now Christie, you can speak to this. The more I looked at it and the more I studied it, it doesn't necessarily say that we're going to somehow reduce taxes by any means or anything like that. So for me, it's not saying that we shouldn't, but I just think that maybe we should spend a little more time looking at, and I know that FFAC did. I'm not saying FFAC didn't. I'm saying as a board, we really haven't discussed this much. And we have a lot of issues in buildings. We want to, look at, we talk about all the time. We talk about the social and emotional needs. So I'm all for paying down the bonds, but I'm also looking at what that number should be from the board perspective. And I don't think as a board, we've really discussed that. And that's just how I feel. That's just one person.
I agree with you on some of that issue, some of those issues. I agree. The problem with paying down bond is you don't feel it. I mean, you just don't. It doesn't, it's not like what we did with that $1.7 million where we held it to. We don't feel it. But long-term for our children and long-term for the people of DeKalb, it is a huge thing. And I feel like we have that determination, we should go. So I understand your point of view as far as coming up with a number. It's like, where do we come up with the number? But I feel like it's something that we have to do. And I don't feel that the number is excessive, given all the considerations. So I'm gonna vote for it, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, Jeff, what you just said, you don't feel it. You really, I see what you're saying, but we do feel it in our bond rate. I mean, if we pay down the bond, if we're good with our loans and so on, then the industry looks at us and says, hey, that district, they got their act together. We've done very well with that. Our business office done a great job in FFAC working with them over the years. And that's why we are in such good condition financially, even though we have a million issues, as you point out, right, with Bell. So, yeah, the community might not, it's not the same kind of sense that you get or feeling that you get when you do some great thing for a program like the social emotional FTE that we voted for, where you have a hopefully a rather soon impact, and the community sees that, but we do have an economic impact that happens rather quickly, after the event, so.
I'm sorry, you didn't bring that up.
Yeah, but I know you know that, I just wanted to bring it out.
Other comments or discussion? Roll call, please. Jeff Albrecht?
Clarify what we're voting for. Clarify what a yes or a no means.
Yeah, the Board of Education approved FFAC's recommendation to choose bond restructuring option number 1, 4A. Utilize $13 million to surplus and operating funds to pay off bonds in 2019 and 2020.
Thank you. So, me,
Yes.
But one last clarification. It does nothing for our interest though, right? If we pay it down.
Yes, it does.
Sure.
Yes.
But it's long term.
Yes, long term, we basically, it's like paying down a principal of the mortgage. So
Because
basically, that much less that interest would be calculated out,
are you done with discussion?
which decreases our debt service.
Correct. Back to roll call.
Jeff Albrecht,
Yes.
Karen Willett,
Yes.
Victoria Duport,
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez, Craig Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Next, we have the resolution approving the recommendation of the Finance Facilities Advisory Committee in connection with the 2019-2020 refundings of certain outstanding bonds of the district. This is an action item that the Board of Education approve the resolution approving the recommendation of the Finance Facility Advisory Committee in connection with the 2019-2020 refundings of certain outstanding bonds of the district. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Karen Willett,
Yes.
Victoria Duport,
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez.
No.
Craig Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht.
Yes.
Next is the resolution providing for the issue of not to exceed $28 million general obligation refunding school bonds, Series 2019, for the purpose of refunding certain outstanding bonds of the district, providing for the levy of a district annual tax sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds, and authorizing the execution of a bond purchase agreement with Raymond James and Associates, Inc. in connection with the proposed sale of said bonds. This is an action item. Yes. So, roll call, or, should we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. We just finished paying off our credit card, so to speak, with the previous resolution. And now we are seeking to do what with a larger amount? Are we going back to
What this,
put more stuff on our credit
no,
card?
no, what this is doing is refinancing the bonds that we currently have outstanding. So it's basically now starting the process. The previous agenda item was to approve the process, basically. This is the actual parameters resolution that we need in order to issue those bonds. Well, to the market to sell those bonds, to refund bonds that we have right now, our 2009 bonds. So it's not adding any debt, it's just restructuring and refunding that debt.
It's like refinancing your house.
Renegotiate.
So we have a better rate which will.
We will, yeah, we'll have a better interest rate. Interest rates actually are very favorable at the moment for municipal bonds. And then we're also restructuring these to flatten out the debt burden to the taxpayers.
Thank you.
Good.
Other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Valerie Hernandez,
Yes.
Rick Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht,
Yes.
Mary Malott,
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes. Next, we have copy paper, office and miscellaneous supplies bid results. This is an action item that the Board of Education approve Mid-City for general supplies and construction paper and Midland paper for white and colored copy paper for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Discussion?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
These types of items are going to be used over and over again. They're going to be purchased over and over again. Is this a sizable enough item to bring to the board to bid? And
For paper it is, because that's about a $90,000 expenditure over the year, and anything over technically $50,000, we have to bid out. Actually $25,000 for these types of items. So collectively, that's what we spend on copy paper over the year. Our supplies budget is getting a little lower because that gets kind of distributed out to other vendors too, specifically, certain items, but the copy paper definitely is a need to get that out.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Rick Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht,
Yes.
Mary Malott,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Valerie Hernandez.
Yes.
Next, we have approval of utility bid results, electric and natural gas. This is an action item that the Board of Education award the utility contracts for both electric and natural gas to Constellation for a 2-year period beginning July 1st, 2019. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht,
Yes.
Mary Malott,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Valerie Hernandez,
Yes.
Rick Smith.
Yes.
Next, we have bid results, seal coating project. This is an action item that the Board of Education approved a base bid for the district seal coating project to Denil Inc. of Joliet, Illinois, in the amount of $92,698. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht,
Yes.
Mary Malott,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Valerie Hernandez,
Yes.
Rick Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon.
Yes.
Next, we have bid results, gym floor replacement and Founders. This is an action item that the Board of Education approved the awarding of a replacement of the Founders gym floor to Dianetic Supports Construction from Point Pleasant, New Jersey, in the amount of $121,245. We have a motion?
So moved with discussion.
Second.
Okay, all right.
I'd like to have Candy explain exactly what this is.
At the first board meeting in March, I brought all the bid results forward that we had received. We did reject some of them. At that meeting, spec flooring was actually approved by the board. And after the meeting included the architect and the contractor in further discussions, and it was determined that the base bid did not include the moisture mitigation, and it was spec'd out to include it. And because of that, it would have made a difference of over $40,000 to the contractor should there be a need for full mitigation. And the contractor asked to be removed from the bid. We did talk to the next lowest responsible bidder, and they are able to, Dynamic Sports is able to move forward with this project on the schedule that we have laid out for the summer with no additional costs on top of the bid that they put forth.
With the moisture mitigation.
With the moisture mitigation included in the $121,245. Should the mitigation not be needed in full, we'll receive credit back for the portion that they were not spending.
And this is a composite flooring that's made for multiple uses. We use it for moving tables in and out.
Correct.
We do a lot of different things. So this floor is designed for that.
The floor we're putting in, yes, will be designed so that it'll be able to be not just a gym floor, but it'll also be sufficient and appropriate for lunch tables and other uses. It's similar, it is the same flooring that we had put into Tyler when we renovated back in 2014, because theirs was also molded.
Thank you.
If we were to go with something where the moisture was not mitigated, how would that manifest itself? What would appear, what would happen?
Well, the life extension of the floor would, in the future, would create issues that I honestly could not determine what those would be. But based on the specifications of our architect, anytime we have a flooring replacement, whether it's gym flooring, hallways, classroom, that moisture mitigation is always involved in that. Testing and then mitigation if needed.
Tammy, the first and lowest bidder that asked for the bid to be withdrawn, are they an Illinois company?
Yes.
Really? I'm a little surprised to see somebody from New Jersey is more competitive than someone who's more local. I mean, I don't know much about putting gym floors in, but, you know, we just looked at the bid for the seal coating. You know, just generally this kind of work, I would expect that, you know, more local contractors would have an economic advantage, but apparently that may not be the case here.
Well, sometimes it's that the corporate is located out of state, but they have installers and salesmen within our region. This company actually already attended our pre-bid meeting, pre-construction meeting that we held last week in preparation for summer, and was present at that in anticipation of this approval. They knew it could go either way, but they were willing to attend with our interest. So I'm anticipating that our representative is from here.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. Roll call, please.
Jeff Albrecht,
Yes.
Terry Millat,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez.
Yes.
Craig Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Thanks, Tammy.
Next, we have bid results, custodial supplies. This is an action item that the Board of Education approve awarding the contract to Ferguson Facilities Supply as our custodial supply provider for 1 year with the option to renew for up to 3 years. Do we have a motion?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Terry Millat,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez,
Yes.
Craig Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht.
Yes.
Next, we have new business and administration. And this is an action item that the Board of Education approve the proposal to adopt the Caring School Communities Program for pre-K through 5th grade classrooms for the 2019-2020 school year. Do we have a motion?
So moved with discussion.
Second.
Discussion then?
Let Kimberly explain
Okay. I don't know.
it. She here? Can somebody explain it?
A brief
The program?
Yeah.
The Caring School program, I didn't bring my notes, but I can give you the gist of it. It is a program that will be in all the classrooms, based around having class meetings on a daily basis to work on some of the social skills, getting to know the kids getting to know each other, work on the classroom as a community, because we're running into kids needing more support in that area, and our teachers need more training. And this program will help our teachers learn how to have those conversations with kids. We piloted it this year in 23 classrooms to make sure, across all 9 schools, to make sure that it was a good fit. And it was, and the teachers have had some great success with it. So we want to give it a shot for all of our students. I think it's going to be really good. And it's a product that we already have some of the products. It's our writing program and a couple of our intervention programs are created by the same company.
Jeff, this is also part of, Jeff, this is also part of our social emotional plan. So I'm really proud that we pulled together and collaborated as a whole district. This is tier 1, so all students in pre-K through 5th grade will start with this tier 1 level program, social emotional development.
It sounds like it increases involvement by
Yes,
everybody.
by everyone, absolutely. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Jerry?
I got a question for if anyone can answer this. This is a $20,000 program, and it would seem to be, I mean, you've done the pilot already, and that worked well. So it would seem to me that 20,000 is you're getting a great cost benefit ratio on this thing.
Yes.
Has anyone done a comparative analysis, this program, what it does for our kids in our district as compared to some of the other things that we do? Another psychologist, another social worker, another teaching assistant or whatever. Has anyone ever looked at that kind of stuff?
That's why we're, that's why we're doing this. Anytime that you can implement tier 1 that everyone gets, then we can hopefully do preventative measures. That students don't go into tier 2 where we need more of our clinicians, or tier 3 where it's all clinician driven. So these measures are the measures we need to be able to put into place in order to stop that progression and be preventative.
So from an efficiency point of view, you want to do more of these kinds of programs, right? As often as you can, as they're effective.
That's part of that social emotional plan, Harry. That's the part is we had to switch from being reactive to proactive, and that's what Caring School Communities is about, and many of our other measures within the plan.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call,
Thank
please.
you.
Valerie Pena Hernandez.
Yes.
Rick Smith.
Yes.
Howard Solomon.
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht.
Yes.
Gary Malott.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes. Next, we have materials proposal for the World Language Department. This is an action item that the Board of Education approved the materials proposal for the French and Spanish textbooks intended for students of both Spanish and French at Clinton Rosette Middle School, Huntley Middle School, and DeKalb High School. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Rick Smith.
Yes.
Howard Solomon.
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht.
Yes.
Gary Malott.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez.
Yes.
Next, we have the 2019-2020 position FTE increases. This is an action item that the Board of Education approved the position increase request as identified on the attached summary. We have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Are you good? Roll call?
Howard Solomon.
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht.
Yes.
Gary Malott.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez.
Yes.
Rick Smith.
Yes.
Next, we have the substitute employee compensation and bonus structure. This is an action item that the Board of Education select and approve one of the proposed substitute employee compensation structure and substitute employee loyalty bonus structure options included in Appendix A, Option 1, and Appendix B, Option 2.
I'd like to make a motion that we go with option A for one, whatever's on your list.
Option A.
Option A.
I'll second your motion, Fred.
Carries. Okay, any discussion?
Just like to make clear that this is a program that involves bonuses for substitutes for their being available many times. And it in fact it becomes something that is like the more time they work, the more their increases will be. But we are continuing with the rate of pay from the previous proposal. Correct. Yeah.
Roll call. Fred Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht.
Yes.
Gary Malott.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Valerie Pena Hernandez.
Yes.
Rick Smith.
Yes.
Howard Solomon.
Yes.
And with that, the meeting will be adjourned. All in favor?
Yeah.